She spoke only in whispers now, ever since the fire that took everything. But when the dog showed up at the hospital doors, drenched in ash and carrying a scorched teddy bear in his mouth, something changed. Not just in her, in everyone. Welcome to Saved by Tales, where loyalty, loss, and healing walk side by side. Before we begin this emotional journey, tell me in the comments, what was the name of the pet that changed your life? And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, please like, share, and subscribe. The hospital room was too quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the kind that made nurses walk slower past the doorway. The kind that made doctors hesitate before knocking. It was the kind of silence that wrapped around you and whispered that something had broken, and no one knew how to fix it. In the middle of the room sat a little girl, 7 years old, brown hair, tangled, cheeks pale, a pink hospital gown too big for her small frame. Her name was Maya. She hadn't spoken in 12 days, not since the fire that had taken her home and her parents. No one really knew what she'd seen. The firefighters had found her curled behind the washing machine, the only room in the house the flames hadn't touched. She hadn't cried when they carried her out. She hadn't screamed or even blinked at the sirens, just stared. Now she sat by the window, always, watching, waiting, for what no one knew. Nurse Elena had tried everything. Books, toys, therapy dogs, music. Nothing worked. Sometimes Maya would glance at you when you entered the room, sometimes not. But she never spoke, never played, never smiled, until the night the dog arrived. It was raining, hard. Nurse Elena was finishing her shift, walking past the front doors when she saw him. A large German shepherd, soaked, mud-covered, one ear torn, a limp in his front leg, and in his mouth he carried a small, half-burned teddy bear. Security tried to chase him off, but the dog didn't move. He just stood there dripping rainwater onto the tiles, eyes locked on something behind Elena. When she turned, she saw Maya, standing at the end of the hall, for the first time, not in her room, barefoot, silent, but staring wide-eyed at the dog. The teddy bear fell from his mouth. It hit the floor with a soft thud. Maya gasped, a sound, the first in almost 2 weeks, and then she ran. Not away, toward him. The security guard stepped in, trying to block her path, but Nurse Elena raised her hand. No, she whispered. Let her go. Maya knelt by the dog. Her small hands reached forward, touched the bear, and then the dog's soaked fur, and then finally wrapped around his neck. A hug. No words, but something cracked open in that moment. Something loud and raw. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. She wasn't alone. Doctors, orderlies, even the janitor stood still, watching a little girl who hadn't spoken in 12 days, finally move, finally reach. And the dog, he let her, didn't flinch, didn't bark, just leaned into her small frame, as if he had been waiting just as long. They let him stay the night. No one really said it out loud, but no one stopped it either. A silent, unspoken agreement passed between the nurses, security, and doctors. Whatever that dog is, he's helping. A spare blanket was laid down on the floor beside Maya's bed. Someone brought in a bowl of water. Someone else brought boiled chicken from the cafeteria. The hospital, normally so strict, bent quietly around the moment, as if it too was holding its breath. Maya curled into her bed, one hand resting on the dog's back as he lay beside her. Her breathing slowed. No more tossing, no more flinching, just the rise and fall of a small chest, steady for the first time in days. Nurse Elena stayed late that night. She couldn't bring herself to leave. She sat in the chair in the corner, sipping lukewarm tea and watching a miracle. The dog never closed his eyes, not once. He just watched Maya, like a soldier on guard. By morning, everything had changed. Maya ate breakfast, real breakfast, not the untouched tray returned after every meal. She sipped orange juice and chewed toast as the dog lay silently beside her. Elena entered and froze in the doorway. Maya looked up and said, softly, "His name is Scout." Elena nearly dropped the clipboard in her hands. Maya had spoken, Scout. That was the beginning. But no one knew where he came from. He had no collar, no chip. The hospital posted on local forums, contacted nearby shelters, called the fire department. Nothing. No one claimed him. No one recognized him. And the bear, half burned, one eye missing, matched one Maya's parents might have bought. But no one could prove it. Some thought he was a neighbor's dog. Some thought he'd just wandered in, but Elena didn't believe that, not after what happened on day 3. It was a Sunday morning, quiet in the children's wing. Maya was sketching with crayons, something that hadn't happened in weeks. Scout lay under her bed, only his tail visible, thumping now and then. A new doctor came in, not one Maya knew. He walked too fast, talked too loud. He tried to lift Scout by the collar, to move him out of the way. He didn't get the chance. Scout didn't growl, didn't bark, but he moved. Fast. He stood between the doctor and Maya, shoulders stiff, eyes locked, a warning in the tilt of his head, the quiet snarl that barely escaped his throat. Maya stood too. No, she said. Her voice was clear. He stays. The doctor backed off. Later he'd joke about how scary the dog looked for a second. But Elena saw something else. The way Scout never took his eyes off Maya. The way he only relaxed when she touched his ear. This wasn't a regular stray. They began piecing things together slowly. A nurse remembered a call from the fire station. Something about a burned dog pulled from the wreckage. No ID taken in. Then gone the next morning. The timeline fit. Elena asked Maya gently, "Did you see Scout during the fire?" Maya nodded. He was barking. Loud. "I think he was trying to find someone." "Did he find you?" "No, but I found him." She pointed to the bear. "He left it by the door. I saw him through the washing machine door glass. He didn't run. He waited." Elena shivered. It made no sense. But somehow, the idea that a dog had braved fire for a child, and then found her again, felt too perfect to ignore. The hospital made a decision. Scout could stay, as long as Maya needed. He got a badge, therapy visitor, unofficial, and a schedule. He slept beside her bed. He walked the halls. Other children began asking to see him. But Scout never left Maya. Not once. Even when volunteers tried to walk him, he'd return, scratch at her door, wait until he was let in. Some said it was attachment, some said trauma, but Maya told Elena something else. "He's looking for someone," she whispered one night. "He wasn't just at my house, he lost something too." Then Maya had a dream. She told Elena the next morning, eyes bright. "I saw a little boy," she said. "He had Scout's eyes, but he was crying. He was wearing pajamas with rockets on. He called Scout Major, not Scout." Elena brushed her hair back. "It was just a dream, sweetie." But Maya shook her head. "No, it felt real. Scout heard him. I think he's looking for that boy." That day, Elena searched every forum, every lost dog post in the last 6 months, and she found it. A post from 3 months ago. Ash grey shepherd, burned scars on back leg, one torn ear. Last seen near the Cedar Ridge fire. Responds to the name Major. Belonged to my son Ethan. If found, please. He's all we have left. Maya didn't say a word when Elena showed her the post. She just walked to Scout, whispered something into his fur, and Scout sat up, stiff, alert, as if something in him knew. Elena made the call. The drive to Cedar Ridge was quiet. Maya sat in the back seat of Elena's car, buckled tightly. Scout curled up beside her like a shadow. Every bump in the road, every sharp turn, he subtly leaned against her to keep her steady. The sun dipped low behind the trees as they left the city. A soft orange glow bathed the landscape, rolling fields, distant forests, telephone poles that looked like they had stood for 100 years. Scout's eyes never closed, not once. They reached the edge of Cedar Ridge just past dusk. It was a ghost town, not by population, but by memory. The wildfire had scorched the edges of the community 3 months ago. Half the trees were blackened sticks. One row of houses on the eastern hill was still taped off, their roofs collapsed, chimneys like gravestones. Maya pressed her forehead to the window. "I remember this," she whispered. Elena glanced back. "You do." The smoke, the sound, someone screaming a name. Scout shifted. His ears perked. Elena pulled up to a modest one-story house at the end of a cul-de-sac. A boy sat on the porch, legs swinging over the edge, rocket pajamas worn and faded. His hands held a piece of paper, a sketch of a dog. He looked up. Maya didn't speak. She opened the car door and stepped out, Scout beside her. The boy stood slowly, his mouth parted. Then he whispered, "Major." Scout didn't run. He walked, measured steps. His tail didn't wag. But when he reached the boy, he stopped, tilted his head, waited. The boy dropped the drawing, and fell to his knees. Major. His hands gripped the dog's neck. Tears soaked the fur. Scout didn't move, didn't flinch. He just leaned forward and gently pressed his forehead to the boy's chest. His name was Ethan, 7 years old. He'd been at school the day the fire started. His dad had gone back to the house to rescue Major, their German shepherd trained in scent detection. By the time firefighters reached the house, it was too late. The father didn't make it out, but Major had escaped. Barely burned and dazed, he vanished into the woods. No one found him. Until now. Elena stayed back, watching from the porch. Maya and Ethan sat in the grass. They talked about the fire, about dreams, about what it felt like to lose something, and then maybe, just maybe, get it back. Do you think Scout, I mean Major, came to find you? Ethan asked. Maya nodded. He found me in the fire, left me a bear. A bear. She reached into her backpack and held it out. The singed one-eyed bear. Ethan's mouth dropped. I had one just like that when I was a baby. They looked at Scout, who lay between them, eyes closed, finally at rest. But something strange began to happen. Scout, Major, didn't want to stay. He'd bonded to both children, slept beside Maya still, walked with Ethan. But every evening just after sunset, he'd sit by the front door, staring, waiting, for what no one knew, until the night the letter arrived. It came in a battered envelope, no return address, just a note, written in messy handwriting. If you're reading this, you have my dog. His name is Major. He was trained in search and rescue. I left him at the house that day, thinking I'd be back. I didn't make it, but I think he did something more than survive. If he found you, then maybe he did what I couldn't. Tell my son I'm proud of him. It was signed Thomas Reed, Ethan's father. They read it aloud under the porch light. Ethan clutched it to his chest, then asked Maya softly, "Do you think Dad knew?" She didn't answer. She just took his hand. From that day on, Major did something different. He began visiting the hospital with Maya again, but now with Ethan at his side. He became a symbol, a quiet legend, the dog who survived the flames, the one who remembered. He'd walk the halls, stop beside children who wouldn't speak, wouldn't smile, and somehow, just by being there, he'd change them, just like he changed Maya, just like he found Ethan. And every now and then, just at dusk, he'd still sit by the door, waiting, not for someone to come back, but maybe, just maybe, watching over the ones still here.